On November 20th, 2012, in Charlottesville, Virginia, Sage Smith left her apartment to go on a date. When she did not return the following day, her roommate reported her missing. The police dragged their feet on the investigation when there was a couple of viable suspects. It became more and more apparent when another girl went missing, and the case was solved in a matter of months. The difference is, Sage was a black transgender female, and the other was white. To this day, her friends and family were left without any answers. Hello, welcome back to Grace Benson Investigates, where I deep dive into true crime, paranormal phenomena, cults, and history. Please like and subscribe. This is Missing Monday. For most of the month, I will be discussing LGBTQ plus cases. So, disclaimer, I will be covering the case of a black transgender girl, so the topic may be heavy for you. Also, I absolutely will not allow any transphobic or racist comments. You will be blocked. Now that that is out of the way, I'll be discussing the disappearance of Sage Smith. This is her story. Today's case takes place in Charlottesville, Virginia. Charlottesville is located in central Virginia, where it's the home of two former U.S. presidents, Thomas Jefferson and James Monroe. This city has a pretty dark history when it comes to the treatment of black individuals, which I believe plays in how the case is treated. The University of Virginia is actually built by slaves. The community suffered from Jim Crow laws and lynchings due to the Ku Klux Klan chapters heavily in the area. When segregation was ordered to end, schools closed for months as a protest to stop blacks from being allowed into white schools. Today is known for its vibrant downtown and scenic foothills. This is where Latasha, Dennis, and Dean Smith were living when Latasha gave birth to her son Dashad. For clarity, this is Sage, who later came out as transgender and used the name Sage. Some family and friends still call her Dashad and use he pronouns. They said that she would change her pronouns day to day and dress according to how she felt that day. They thought she was more gender fluid. However, her words was she said she was female, so I'm going off of Sage's words and only using her and Sage. Back to the case. Their marriage was a struggle from the beginning. They ended up breaking up. Dean ended up in prison for a drug charge shortly after Sage was born. She was born on December 13th, 1992 in Charlottesville, Virginia. Latasha struggled being a single mom, so she spent a lot of time living with her grandmother, Lolita, who went by Cookie, and was her father's mother. She started living with her when she was 3. Cookie was raising Sage in a affordable housing complex. Cookie had a strong presence in the community, serving in tenant groups. However, the complex put up an iron fence, so when Sage was 12, residents felt like they were prisoners. Cookie moved her and Sage to Fifeville neighborhood in Charlottesville. This is when Sage met Shakira Washington. She lived 2 houses away from Sage and Cookie when they met. Sage and Shakira got into some kind of altercation, and their families came out of the house and stopped it promptly. They were close friends after that. Shakira even called Cookie grandma. Shakira was already openly trans and using female pronouns. Sage told Cookie that she needed to tell her something but not to be mad, then came out as gay. Cookie responded by saying, quote, "You aren't telling me anything that I don't already know," unquote. They hugged for a long time. At some point, Cookie returned her to Latasha, but she was deemed unfit and Sage was put into foster care. She was moving back and forth between Latasha and Cookie, but I'm not really sure why she did not get put with Cookie after the last time. Sage had a difficult time in school. Despite this, she graduated from Charlottesville High School in 2021. She then took cosmetology classes. She braided hair out of her home and earned money by sweeping floor at a local salon. Foster care actually paid for her to have her own apartment in March 2012. She had Shakira and her friend Aubrey Carson, who is also a trans girl, move in with her. They painted the walls of the apartment Barbie doll pink and called it the Dollhouse Mansion. For this next part, I do not want to see any shaming. They would go to parties that cater to men who are on the down low and host parties. They did this sometimes for fun or money. They would also text each other if they were meeting a man. This is due to the fact that Shakira did not have a diploma, so finding work without one was difficult. Sage was the only one working a minimum wage job. Shakira remembered a time when she went to a university professor's home And when he left the room, she heard a knock on the window, and it was Sage checking up on her. Now, Sage would meet guys on the casual encounters section on Craigslist, which Shakira was worried about. On at least one occasion, she contacted a man's wife. A friend warned her to watch her back because people on the street were unhappy she did this. When Sage's dad, Dean, got released from prison, he was working to have a relationship with Sage. At first, he had a difficult time accepting Sage's identity. He even told Sage he wanted nothing to do with her. This was until he saw a Lifetime movie called Prayers for Bobby, and this changed his perspective. Dean said of this, quote, "Dude was like that, and his family dropped him. I just felt like I couldn't do that to my child. When she walked by on the street and I was at the barbershop with my boys, I would say, 'Come here, I want you to meet my child,'" unquote. His road to accept it was not perfect, but he was trying. One of his kids confronted him, saying that he loves all of his kids no matter what, and this is who Sage is. This really got through to Dean. He realized she was just not trying to get attention. She just wanted to be who she was. In November 2012, Sage officially began to identify as a woman. Some of her family were not accepting at first, but Cookie accepted the whole time. They had such a close relationship. She described Sage as bright and sensitive. She felt as though Sage was put into her care for a reason. She remained close with Cookie, especially. She was also close to her siblings from both sides of her family, as both parents remarried. Sage would spend a lot of nights at queer-friendly bars in the Charlottesville area. She, along with Shakira and Aubrey, were welcomed, and they were able to be safe as themselves. She would dance and post YouTube videos of these moments. Sometimes they would go to a strip club near the University of Virginia. Shakira began taking estrogen injections, and Sage was interested in starring alongside her. On November 9, 2012, she changed her gender Facebook to female, and then posted, "I am a girl now. Respect it." Then posted, quote, "I am a girl now. Hashtag respect it," unquote. On November 18th, she messaged a family member saying, quote, "Look, I am transitioning, and I am your niece," unquote. On November 19th, 2012, the girls put together a party, as it was Shakira's 19th birthday. Everything was going good until a girl came in busting wanting to fight a friend of theirs. Apparently, she messed with the girl's man or something. The fight moved outside. All the parking was down the street. A car's door opened, and a bunch of people stumbled out. Sage ended up fighting with a man named Jamel Smith, no relation to Sage. Then the fight escalated, and the police were called. Around 11:20 p.m., Jamel made a report about Sage, saying that she damaged his car. She was never arrested, though. Shakira said the fights were not abnormal, but this was different. She did not understand it, saying of this, quote, "Where did it come from? It didn't start with Sage or me, so it was kind of weird how it ended up on Sage," unquote. Later that night, Jamel tweeted, quote, "Been disrespected to the point of no return," unquote. At this point, the party was no one wanted to celebrate after that. Sage was upset with Shakira because she did not help Sage in the fight. Sage felt let down and angry. Shakira called friends from Norfolk, where she was from, to pick her up. They went to the coast. She decided to leave the situation for a few days. She felt like leaving the situation for a few days would be best. Shakira said of this, quote, "Her last words to me were, 'I hate you, and we never got to make it right,'" unquote. The next day, Sage woke up and called her father, Dean. She congratulated him on his anniversary of his release from jail. She also asked for money to get her hair braided. Then she planned on meeting someone for a date. She told Aubrey earlier that she planned on going on a date. She got ready, did her makeup, and got dressed, the usual. As she was leaving, Aubrey was napping. So Sage woke her up to tell her that she was leaving. This was at 5:54 p.m. She's planning to come back home, then travel to visit her mother and stepsister in Louisa County, and was very excited about this. Latasha tried to text and call Sage later, but received no answer. It is just believed she was busy getting ready and just never got back to her. Her stepsister, Kiera Morgan, thought she saw Sage around 6:30 p.m. on West Main Street and 4th Street Northwest. She said that Sage was talking on the phone and heard her tell the person she will be there in 5 minutes. Around 8 p.m., Aubrey woke up from her nap to an empty house. Aubrey said that earlier, Sage woke her up to say she was going out. They continued to walk. They did continue to nap. She woke up for good to the house being empty and dark, which alerted her because Sage should have been home by now. She tried to call Sage multiple times but went straight to voicemail. This is a major red flag to Aubrey that Sage's number was always charged. She would always have her charger with her, so if she needed to charge it, she would find a place to charge it, and she would never turn her phone off for any reason. The next morning, Shakira's phone went off. Originally, she thought it was going to be Sage apologizing, but it was Aubrey saying that Sage never came back home. Shakira told Aubrey to call Cookie. Cookie said to wait and see if she returned that day. She said that if she did not return by 10 p.m., she would report her missing. She did not want to think the worst, but her heart sank with the news. She compared the news to a bomb going off in her life. She never arrived at her mother's for their Thanksgiving celebration. This was not in Sage's character. She would not skip a family gathering, especially not with her mother and stepsister, who she was very close to. Aubrey was going to wait, like Cookie suggested, but she could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. That afternoon, on Wednesday, November the 21st, she called and reported Sage missing. The officer took down Sage's name, birthday, and that they would need a picture. Aubrey said that the police officer seemed calm, but didn't seem like they took it seriously. On November 22nd, the investigation officially began. This was actually Thanksgiving Day. The original detective was Sergeant Mark Bray. Dean knew first, as his mother, Cookie, told him presumably that she reported Sage missing. He informed Latasha of the situation, which devastated and scared her. She decided not to tell her daughters so they wouldn't worry. Unfortunately, they found it on a Facebook page. They speak with Sage's father, Dean Smith, and mother, Latasha Grooms. Both parents confirmed that it was out of character for Sage to have her phone turned off or dead. They said that she would never go 36 hours without talking to friends or family. She certainly would not let people worry about her. They spoke to a friend that saw Sage walking on Main Street shortly after 6:30 p.m. on November 20th. She said that she spoke to her for a few minutes and that Sage said that she was going to meet a man. 2 detectives were brought onto the case called Lieutenant James Mooney and Ronald Stamets. A grid search was conducted by 6 Charlottesville Police. They searched near Main Street, Harris Street, and around the University of Virginia. They checked trash cans, dumpsters, empty lot, and parking lots and fields. There was no sign of Sage. They also checked CCTV from local businesses, but unfortunately the only camera was a traffic camera and only monitors, so no recordings. By Friday, Sage was missing 72 hours with no luck. Lieutenant Mooney said Lieutenant Mooney was able to request Sage's phone records, but of course this was going to take a few days. Her family actually decided to try and get into her account themselves. They started guessing possible passwords, and then after a few tries they were able to get into it. She spoke to a friend from Virginia for 20 minutes on the day of her disappearance, November 20th. Her last phone call was at 6:36 p.m. It came from an unidentified number. After this call, all activity on her devices ended. So the family finds this number in an effort to find out who she spoke to. Dean posted it on Facebook. This is when a trans girl named Yami Ortiz that was friends with Sage came forward and said this number belonged to a man named Erik McFadden. She knew Erik because they texted and emailed a few times. Yami said that Erik and Sage were sort of dating. She also said that one day Erik messaged her to tell her to delete all of his contact information. She did not think much of it until she saw Sage's dad post about the number. So who is this Erik guy? Erik McFadden was born on March 1st, 1991. He graduated from Joppatown High School in Joppatown, Maryland, and later attended Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. He was 21 when Sage went missing in 2012. According to his friends, he was struggling with his identity. They believed he was gay or maybe bisexual, but he was afraid people would find out. Specifically his girlfriend. He began talking to different people online, which is how he met Sage. They began talking casually on the phone, but soon they would see each other in person. Erik began to feel desperate to keep Sage's secret from everyone. It was soon discovered that Erik was the man that Sage had a date with. The police soon found out that Sage and Erik were talking up to weeks before the date. There were texts that implied that they had a sexual relationship, and Erik may have been paying Sage to keep this private from his girlfriend. There are some reports that Dean posted Erik's picture to Facebook, but this cannot be confirmed. He was getting impatient with the police and his perceived lack of investigation. He just felt as they were dragging their feet. I think this came from them doing a lot of the investigating, like finding her phone records and meticulously going through her social media. This helped them to identify Erik, where he lived and worked, and pass that on to the police. Mostly they were not told much, so they equated that to not working on Sage's case. But they have to keep some things to themselves. The police officially linked Sage with Erik on November 23rd. It is also believed that Yami tipped Erik off to the police being on to him. On November 24th, a woman named Esther Ayani contacted CPD to report her boyfriend missing. This was Erik McFadden. They lived together on 4th Street in Charlottesville. She reported that she was out of town spending Thanksgiving with her family. She could not get a hold of Erik and requested a welfare check. They conducted this welfare check and the apartment was empty, but they did find a CVS receipt from November 22nd. The police went to his work and said that he stopped showing up to work. Shortly after her initial call, Erik contacted her saying that he was in Washington, D.C. and asked for money. She told him that he needed to talk to the police. On November 27th, he called the police. He told them that he was in New York City because he had never been, so he decided to visit. He said that he was supposed to meet up with Sage at the Amtrak station, but she never showed up. He was adamant that he does not know what happened to her. They told him that he should return to Virginia and speak with them. This is when police said he hung up on them. On November 29th, his girlfriend called the police again, saying Erik had emailed her, saying that he was returning to Virginia by bus. She suggested that the police pick him up and question him. However, he called her back the next day to say he's not coming back after all. She did get an email from him on November 30th talking about his relationship with Sage. He's very dismissive about Sage's identity. I just want to clarify before reading his quote. Quote, "I am heading out. This is what happened. I never did anything sexual with that guy, and he was blackmailing me. He wanted me to give him money, not to lie, from saying that we did, and I did. And he agreed to stop, and then the next time he hit me up for money, I said no. We did meet up, but he had a lot of enemies. Me and him were walking, and some people showed up, and I kept walking, not looking back," unquote. Despite this, they were slow about investigating this further. They believed it was not a criminal case, that there is no evidence of foul play. Also, the search for Erik overshadowed Sage's disappearance. Despite weird circumstances and being a person of interest in Sage's case, Erik was not reported missing just yet. They actually thought his father reported him missing, but he never did. The concern seems to have come from his girlfriend, and for some reason was not made into a missing person report. His family did not report him missing or follow up. It seems like his mom didn't know he was missing until years later. Like, she thought the dad reported him, and so there's like some confusion with that. But it makes me wonder, did his dad know where he was the whole time? Why was he not reported missing until 2019, 7 years after Sage went missing? The police put together a timeline for November 20th, the night that Sage disappeared, that I'm briefly going to talk about. At 5:17 p.m., Sage texted Erik to see when he was going to leave. At 5:20, Erik responded to say he was at the Hampton Inn. They text back and forth until 5:40 p.m., which is when Sage left her apartments to head downtown. At 6:08, Erik texted Sage asking where she was. She did not respond, and he texted again asking her whereabouts at 6:12. Between 6:18 and 6:37, he continued to try and contact her. She was actually talking to a friend and did not see his texts. By 6:27, he was mad, saying she stood him up. At 6:35 is when Kiera, her sister, saw her walking down the road. At 6:40, Sage was heading west on West Main Street. On December 3rd, Sage's family made a public statement saying that they were upset because the case was not getting the attention it deserved. They felt as if it was because of her identity. Sadly, I have to agree. They also said that her friend and roommate Aubrey was caught using her food stamp card. Police spoke with Aubrey. She said that they used their cards as a household to stretch the money, or they could not confirm her whereabouts as she was napping, and the only two people that knew this for sure were her and Sage is missing. So she was suspicious to the authorities. They changed her disappearance to possible homicide. This is also when they brought in the FBI. They conducted more grid searches. They also looped in the Department Association and cadaver dogs. A dog actually hit on Sage's smell, but lost it. They had a dive team examined a pond and searched the landfill that Erik's dumpster was emptied at. There was absolutely no sign of Sage. At the end of 2012, an anonymous person put up a $10,000 reward for information on Sage's disappearance. In 2013, new information finally was reported. A woman named Monica Williams told them she saw Sage around 7 p.m. on the night she disappeared. She saw her by herself on Main Street at the Wild Wings Cafe. She looked as if she was waiting for somebody at the bar. She maybe met up with Erik and then ran into her stepsister and met up with someone else at the cafe. But why did Erik run away if he was innocent? Unfortunately, the cafe did not have CCTV, which was normal at the time of places. The manager also didn't remember seeing her. This is another dead end. The cafe is near Amtrak, where she was supposed to meet Erik. Since Erik's whereabouts are unknown and his timeline cannot be verified, it's possible she was meeting him as well, so it really answered no questions. In May 2013, investigators contacted the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NCMEC, to get Sage's case out there. They also uploaded Sage's dental records in case a body was found so she could be identified. At this point, they quit seeing Erik as a suspect because he did not own a car and his digital footprints didn't make any sense if he was the one to kill Sage. Plus, with how busy Charlottesville, they believed someone would have witnessed something. This is when things got shady with their so-called friends. In 2016, there was a possible sign of Sage, but ended up being Shakira. When police checked this lead and realized it was Shakira, she made a comment saying that Aubrey was not telling them everything she knew. She also said that Aubrey was using a lot of Sage's personal items. They spoke to Sage's stepsister, Kira, and she said that Sage and Aubrey saw each other as competition, and Aubrey was jealous of Sage. When police confronted Aubrey about this, she denied it. She said that she would never harm Sage, and it was all a misunderstanding. But soon her story fell apart when she said that she only met Erik once. It was found out that she and Sage met up with him the Sunday before Sage disappeared. She said she knew nothing, and police had no proof that she did anything nefarious, but it was suspicious as fuck. In December 2016, Sage's case was officially announced to be a homicide investigation. In March 2017, police announced that Erik was a person of interest again. He was not necessarily a subject, but a witness. Her apartment was searched again in May of 2018. Nothing is known if they found anything. In November 2020, police did provide an update saying, quote, "Actually, at this time, we're exploring new active leads in the case. I can't share specifics on what those are due to the sensitivity of the case, but we are pursuing these actively with the assistance of local, state, and federal partners," unquote. In 2025, 13 years after Sage disappeared on the night of November 20th, 2012, police received a breakthrough. They discovered that Erik might be living in Los Angeles. He was trying to change his name. They tracked him down and conducted their first official interview with Erik. It's unknown on what occurred in that interview. The family spoke a lot about Sage's disappearance not getting enough attention. This was evident when a girl named Hannah Graham went missing on September 13th, 2014. She was a white University of Virginia student. She received immediate investigation. The FBI was brought in. The police were visibly affected by her disappearance. Look, Hannah deserved the attention she received, but so did Sage. Her suspect disappeared as well. A manhunt ensued, and he was found within 3 days. Also, Hannah's remains were found after 36 days. Again, she deserved justice, but so does Sage. I can eventually cover her case because everyone is important. Dean said of this, quote, "How do you think I feel? I watched the helicopters come right up and over the field there behind my house. They didn't do that for my child," unquote. That is an awful feeling for a parent to have. The LGBTQ plus community really stepped up for Sage. A lot of advocate groups raised money for the family. They would rally for action to happen. Unfortunately, Sage's disappearance ran a toll on Cookie. Her body shut down. She suffered from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, a triple bypass where they took a vein from her leg to her chest to keep her alive. On top of that, she suffered from breast cancer and congestive heart failure. She's fighting to this day for Sage and herself, but her health issues are ongoing. Sage's aunt, Tonita, was a victim of a serial killer. On November 19, 2021, the day before the 9th anniversary of Sage's disappearance, his name is Anthony Eugene Robinson, or the shopping cart killer. I would like to discuss the different suspects briefly and give my opinion. Erik McFadden looked very suspicious as he fled. Another reason for this could be because he was outed. He maybe felt as if he would be harassed and not accepted. Jamal Smith is another person that people are suspicious about. He is the boy that Sage got into the fight with. He tweeted about not being respected on November 19th, the night before Sage disappeared. He quit posting for a month and posted a tweet on May 11th, 2023. I'm not quoting it because it has a word I refuse to say, but I will add it in a screenshot or a visual quote so you can get the gist. But basically, he said he cannot stand a man who wants to be a woman. Police also have no idea where he is at and say they don't have the evidence to search for him, which seems like bullshit because like he had a fight with her, so he has a motive to get rid of her, and he's posted crazy stuff. But anyways, the third semi-suspect is Aubrey Carlson. I want to believe she did not do it, but she did portray some suspicious behavior, like using the card and Sage's belongings, secure thinking she knew more, and just a demeanor. Also, her alibi could not be verified. She may have never napped. Maybe Sage came home and she attacked Sage. Shakira was gone. She could have gotten away with it, allegedly. I guess I lean more towards Erik because of the way he fled and was paranoid about people finding out, but honestly, either of these individuals are viable suspects. But I just want to say that everybody is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Now I want to bring the case back to Sage. As of June 2026, Sage has been missing for 13 years. It does not seem like Charlottesville Police Department has any information, or they're keeping it very close to the vest. She's remembered for her energy, laughter, and courage. She loved to dance. She was a black transgender who was 5'8" and 130 pounds. She would wear her hair in braids. Her ears and left brow was pierced. The night she disappeared, she was wearing a black jacket, dark gray sweatpants, a black scarf, gray and black rain boots with pink and purple lining. She may have been wearing a bleached hoodie sweatshirt. If you possibly have any information about Sage's disappearance, please contact the Charlottesville Police Department, and I'll have the number on the screen and in the description. I want to know your opinions, but please be respectful. If you're a judgmental dick, you will be removed and blocked. Comment, subscribe, and like. If you have any future cases you would like me to cover, please request a case using my form in the description box. Join me next time when I discuss another transgender case. This time it's a murder of a transgender girl out of the UK who was murdered by her friend. Until next time, stay curious, cautious, and safe. Bye.